Let's dive right into this fascinating explainer. Today, we're unpacking some truly mind-bending concepts from the teachings and writings of Life Chan Yuan guide Xu And honestly, this is going to challenge pretty much everything we think we know about fairness and happiness. We're looking at his argument that seeking fairness is actually a massive trap, and instead, seeking peace of mind is the ultimate answer. So if you've ever looked at the world and thought, man, that is just not fair, well, the concepts we're about to explore are basically designed to flip that entire perspective upside down. Let's get right into it. Xu kicks things off with a massive paradigm shift. He proposes that the way of nature is actually perfectly just and perfectly fair, and it all comes down to the inescapable law of cause and effect. He notes that if we really open our eyes, we'll see that there's literally no place that isn't fair and no time that isn't just. It's like on a cosmic scale, the whole retribution of cause and effect doesn't miss by even a hair's breadth. The universe just balances out, completely, mathematically, and absolutely perfectly.
But here is the core human dilemma we run into. While the universe is out there perfectly balancing itself, our eyes, well, they only see unfairness everywhere. We look at lions hunting antelopes or birds eating insects, and we immediately judge it. We see some people born into total luxury, while others struggle their whole lives just for basic food and clothing, and our gut reaction is to label it as horribly unjust. The text points out that as long as we keep looking around and comparing, we're always going to feel like the world is deeply unfair on the surface.
Which brings us to our first major point, the trap of comparison, and how it's really the root of our suffering.
So think about it. If nature is inherently balanced, but life feels totally unfair to us down here on the ground, where is all this suffering actually coming from? Well, the answer might surprise you. The source material argues that the suffering doesn't come from the universe at all. It comes entirely from us. Let's look at how this trap plays out in everyday life. Say your neighbor buys a shiny new car. Yesterday, you were perfectly content, but today, now you feel uneasy. Or maybe another family buys a big house in the city, and suddenly you're losing sleep until you can figure out how to buy one too. We literally introduce stress, pain, and worry into our own lives entirely unprovoked, just trying to feel at ease again.
Xu actually diagnoses the exact root of this human suffering. He argues that it all stems from this relentless desire to compare what we have to what everyone else has. And in Article 102 of the 800 Values for the New Era Humans, he really doesn't sugarcoat it. He straight up calls the mind of comparison a mind of wickedness. Why such a strong word? Because discontentment breeds almost every single ugly phenomenon in our society. The exact moment we start measuring our worth against our neighbor's yard, we completely lose our joy.
Whether it's agonizing over a height or obsessing over the size of our property, we're just allowing this illusion of unfairness to steal our joy. Think about it. If you're 1.7 meters tall, why on earth envy someone who is 1.8 meters tall? Or if you have a single acre of land that provides for you perfectly well, why are you envying someone with thousands of acres? When we live in this constant state of comparison, we are essentially choosing to be frustrated. And honestly, we really can't blame anyone else for that frustration but ourselves.
And that leads into the second main concept we need to tackle, the actual absurdity of fairness, and why chasing it is a totally foolish pursuit.
See, Xu takes this whole human obsession with fairness and pushes it right to its logical, slightly hilarious extreme, just to show us how foolish it really is to demand total equality in everything. If we truly genuinely wanted everything to be perfectly equal all the time, well, would we demand a share in our neighbor's filth just to keep things fair? If their doorstep is piled with garbage, are you going to pile garbage on yours? Or what if someone's house gets completely washed away by a flood? Do you feel like it's only fair to go knock down your own house just to level the playing field? When you frame it like that, the pursuit of absolute fairness instantly looks completely ridiculous.
The text continues pressing on this logic. We would never in a million years want to share someone else's physical pain or even their youthful pimples just for the sake of equality. I mean, we don't volunteer for heart surgery just because a friend had to get it, right? We absolutely do not want the bad stuff distributed equally.
And if someone embezzles 100 million won and goes to prison, you definitely aren't saying it's only fair that you get to live in prison too. So here is the crucial point. We very selectively want the good kind of fairness, while completely, conveniently ignoring the absurd reality of applying fairness to everything. We only ever shout unfair when someone else has more money, more beauty, or more status. We are entirely biased in our whole definition of what fairness even is.
Now, let's move into Section 3 and look at the hidden cost of success and those unseen sacrifices.
Let's see how this builds on what we just talked about. because what we usually perceive as an unfair advantage almost always comes with a hidden, really heavy price tag. Xu points out that living in a gorgeous villa for 20 years might look incredibly unfair to someone just sitting at home watching TV. But what they didn't see were the decades of intense, unseen struggle and sacrifice that actually bought that reality. You see the lush green lawn and the giant swimming pool. Okay, but what you don't see is that person studying relentlessly under a lamp late at night for decades. While one person lived a leisurely life, the other worked completely nonstop. So looking at the final result and just calling it unfair completely erases the very real causes that created that reality in the first place.
It's exactly like the old saying goes. For 10 years, no one asked about the hardships of studying, but once you're recognized, suddenly everyone knows who you are. We're only ever looking at the final result of someone else's cause and effect equation, and that makes us wrongly assume the world is just treating us unfairly. The writings suggest that behind literally any unfair phenomenon we think we're seeing, there is a reason that we simply do not know. Once we grasp this concept, we can finally stop pursuing the superficial idea of fairness. We realize the universe isn't playing favorites at all. It's just paying out the exact mathematical results of the unseen efforts and causes people have put in over a lifetime.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, seeking true peace as the ultimate answer.
So, once we finally realize that pursuing fairness is nothing but a trap, what on earth should we be aiming for instead? Well, according to these teachings, the ultimate goal isn't outward equality at all. It's inward peace. And the path to getting that peace of mind is incredibly grounded. It goes like this: do not harm others, do not harm nature, respect the greatest creator, respect life, and follow the way of nature. When you live respectfully like that, and you finally stop pouring all your energy into comparing yourself to everybody else, you become totally justified in your peace of mind. You're simply no longer fighting reality.
Think about it like this. If you have basic food, some shelter, and a few close friends to just sit around and discuss the stars with, you shouldn't be tormented by jealousy. According to Xie Fang, you are already living the blessed life of a little deity. He points out that just being born human, with normal faculties, is a massive blessing all on its own. If you can manage to live without any major disasters, eat full meals, maybe enjoy a drink with your relatives while watching the seasons change, I mean, what else is there really to seek? Why suffer through all the joy and sorrow of worrying about what the neighbors are up to?
I want to leave you with this thought to consider for your own life. Tomorrow, will you keep looking outward with resentment, or are you going to look inward for lasting peace? Discontentment is a choice. Comparison is a choice. The universe is already perfectly balanced. The only thing that's actually out of balance is our perspective. So tomorrow, when you inevitably see someone with something you don't have, just ask yourself, do you really want to drag yourself back into that trap of suffering? Or would you rather just enjoy the incredible, simple blessing of being alive? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I genuinely hope you found some real peace of mind today.